is located in an attempt to get the strongest signal possible. Just for
okay. You are a doll. All right. Here we go. Did you stop muting yourself? Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of the First Round, Matt and I are going to discuss TFR. We're going to discuss Thor Ragnarok. I'm going to roll with it. Do not lie. It's the First Round After Dark. It's one of our special late night episodes, and I have a tumbler full of vodka. So we are going to have a good time tonight, or maybe it's gin or something. Who cares? We're going to talk about Thor Ragnarok. Matt, I think everybody knows about my lack of affection for the Thor films. I think they are the weakest of all the Marvel movies. Though I did say Taika Waititi, his name may be enough to turn me. We'll see if that was indeed the case. We're also going to do the lounge. There's a lot going on out there in the Hollyweirds. And we're going to talk about a couple of those subjects tonight. So there's a lot to get into, Matt. So let's start everything off with a clip from Thor Ragnarok.
Time works real different around these parts. On any other world, I'd be like millions of years old. But here on Sakaar, in any case, you know this, you call yourself Lord of Thunder, God of Thunder.
I've never met this man in my life.
He's my brother.
Adopted.
Is he any kind of a fighter?
You take this thing out of my neck and I'll show you.
Oh, listen to that. He's threatening me. Hey, Sparkles, here's the deal. If you want to get back to Asperg,
Asgard.
Any contender who defeats my champion, their freedom they shall win.
Fine, then point me in the direction of whoever's ass I have to kick.
That's what I call contender. Direction would be this way, Lord.
Ah, Loki!
All right, Matt. So that's a clip from Thor Ragnarok. Why don't you tell the kids at home what Thor Ragnarok is all about?
Well, our golden-haired, beefy buddy Thor has been captured. He essentially gets kicked out of Asgard, and it turns out he's got an older sister, Hela, the god of death, played by Cate Blanchett. Apparently, she is undefeatable, and she banishes Thor and Loki to a planet run by the lovely Jeff Goldblum, where he has to fight for his freedom. There's really a lot going on. I could keep talking about this for like minutes on end to really summarize the plot, but I think that's close enough.
I think that covers it. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable.
I'm good.
So, Matt, I opened it up with saying maybe Taika Waititi could save the Thor franchise for me. And let me answer that question, Matt, with this. All hail Taika Waititi. My man comes through big time. You have turned, Mr. Waititi, you have turned for me the dullest of the heroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and made him a guy I want to hang out with. Which I have a question for him. Is this too much of a twist, a change, right? Does this new personality really fit the Thor we've seen previously established in the MCU?
It does a little bit. I mean, obviously they kind of played up. Thor has always been kind of a himbo, for lack of a better term, even in his other movies. And while he was much more serious and dour, he still had his moments. I think they're really just focusing on that part of his character. And obviously, Hemsworth is great at it. I mean, this chick now in a couple films. He was the best part of the Ghostbusters reboot. He was the best. He was better than all of those professional comedians as far as being on the screen. So, I think this is the absolute right move. I mean, as you said, Thor was underwhelming. I don't think it was the worst of the Marvel movies. I think the first Captain America was still the worst of the Marvel movies for me, but they were the most underwhelming. Nobody was excited for a Thor film, and really, what did they have to lose? And I thought they knocked this out of the park.
Yeah, I would say so. For me, hands down, the strongest Marvel film this year. I think this is superior to Spider-Man Homecoming and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I would rank this even, I think, potentially above Guardians of the Galaxy. I enjoyed it that much. I had a lot of fun with this thing. I laughed pretty much consistently all the way through. I think why I like this one more than those other films that had lots of homages to things that I hold dear. First off, when Thor first shows up at the Grandmaster's palace, I swear to God, I was watching Flash Gordon. And all it was missing really was the Queen soundtrack. It really had that feel to it, and it's really, though, what you can see is the Jack Kirby influence all over this thing. The set design, the costume design, all of it just screams Kirby to me. So, like, the troops kind of look like Celestials in a way, right? At least the traditional comic book version. And what is the Grandmaster? He's not a Celestial. He's an Eternal or something. What do they call them? Is he one of the Eternals? Is that what the? I don't know.
Even as much of a Marvel fanboy as I am, there's some aspects of it that I don't really know that much about. So your guess is as good as mine because I didn't look it up.
And I think it's interesting too that they mine a lot of Planet Hulk for this, right? Almost a majority of the film takes place at this Contest of Champions. There's so many Marvel comic nods to this thing, but they're done really well. They don't feel so much like fan service. They even touch on Throg. When Thor was turned into a frog for a couple issues, they mentioned that, which I thought was great. So many great things. If anything, maybe Hela gets a little short shrifted for me. I think we could have maybe seen a little bit more from her, but I don't care. I had so much damn fun with this thing, Matt. It's fantastic. What do you think?
Yeah, it really is. It's like I said, it's a hell of a lot of fun. The jokes land.
Puns.
The jokes land, they're almost perfect. I think some of the ones in the beginning I wasn't all on board with, but they hit more than they'd miss. And I love this. And let's talk about the Hulk a little bit. This is the first time he's actually can talk and has a personality, really. And I thought that was a really good move to do. And I like how they didn't explain it. They just acted like he could always talk. He just never did any of the movies, and it just rolled with it from there. And just little touches. I mean, Korg was great. Side character that they just liked so much they kept him in. I mean, this is I don't know if it's the best Marvel movie of the year for me. I still like Spider-Man Homecoming better, but that's because Spider-Man is my favorite hero. But this is absolutely fantastic, and I can't think of higher praise where I was like, I wanted the Guardians of the Galaxy to show up in this so bad and have it be like a mashup for a second. And I was even thinking, man, if we could get a little cross synergy, I would love to see Wonder Woman actually lighten up a little bit more and come hang out with the Asgardians, and we can have the Greeks and the Asgardians hanging out, because I think that would be so much fun too. But yeah, everything about this was just great. I love where they took the character. I love how they kind of built it up going forward. And I hope this is what we get. Although it'll be interesting to see kind of with Avengers Infinity War, these kind of tonally different films with like Guardians and this trying to kind of meld with something that's been more serious and dour. So I don't know. It'll be weird to see how all that plays together.
It's funny when you say serious and dour, especially when we have Justice League coming out next week.
Seriously.
Because, we talk about two entirely different universes of serious and dour. But, I agree with everything you say. I think there's also some fantastic casting choices in this thing. I mean, Jeff Goldblum is just
the best.
He's a hoot in this thing. Just doing Goldblum. That's all, it's all he really needs to do, I guess. But he is peak Goldblum if you're into that kind of thing. And for me, Tessa Thompson almost steals this film.
She's good too.
So she is fantastic. Though I'm curious if Waititi was handcuffed at all by Feig and Marvel Studios. One of the examples would be, I believe, because Valkyrie was supposed to actually be at a minimum bisexual in this film, but I guess they jettisoned all of that. Would have been interesting to have, you know, a little more depth to her character for at least a little more information, but still, overall, I think she was one of the strongest pieces in this. And it's just Hemsworth really just hammering it up and having a great time, just like everybody else. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of great visuals, and I can't praise it enough. I loved every second of this thing. There's so many great moments. I feel like I could just talk about, you know, all the great scenes, when they're trying to escape from the planet and they accidentally hit the music in the orgy ship. I spent like an hour today trying to find that happy birthday song online to play at the end of the show as the stinger, and I couldn't find it. It's not out there, unfortunately.
That is too bad.
Yeah.
And I love how they dug up another Hemsworth brother to play Thor while Thor is watching a play about himself, which I thought was fantastic as well.
Yeah, and they had a bunch of little cameos, Matt Damon and Sam Neill.
Yeah.
You know, also play. They basically are in the Thor play. Just great. Doctor Strange shows up, and you could feel it could have been like fan service, but it was fun. It was interesting. I actually thought it made sense with the plot, and it worked. So, just, you know, kudos all around Taiki Waititi to make not just the best Thor film, but possibly potentially probably top 5 Marvel films for me. I think maybe even top 3.
Oh yeah,
it's
top 5.
It's fantastic.
It really is. And what's the worst part about it is I don't think we're going to get him to be able to do another film, a Marvel film at all, which is really just a shame.
Well, he met with another website and mentioned that he actually pitched his idea for the opening of Thor 4.
Okay.
So I don't. Why not? I mean, it's
right.
I maybe you can catch him. You know, basically, I just want him to do anything he wants. You know, just like I was thinking the other day, who I wanted to do a Bond film. Oh, and I'm blanking on it. It's killing me. There was a director who I would just be perfect, and not like a Dennis Villeneuve. I would love for him to do a Bond film. Same thing with Waititi. Just give him what you want. Just give him whatever he wants and let him run with it. Have him do the next Justice League film. Have him do. Could you imagine him doing like a Superman or a Green Lantern movie? If he were to
Green Lantern
stay in that vein, or really Flash, maybe be even more perfect. Just great stuff. Anything else you wanted to add, Matt?
Or if we're throwing out things that we would like to see, I mean, I think he would be perfect for Captain Marvel. Can you see him directing Black Adam, Dwayne Johnson, and the Billy Batson and all that stuff? I think that'd be fantastic if he was Captain Marvel. Yeah. Oh well.
No,
we're not getting it. No.
Yep. All right. So great soundtrack too for this thing. Kind of almost a minimalistic but retro synth-heavy score. A fantastic use of the Immigrant Song. Sorry. What did you say?
I said by Mark Mothersbaugh of Debo fame.
Oh, I didn't even put that together. That's right. So there you go. And probably, like I said, probably one of the best uses of the Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin ever. And perfect and really overdue. So there you go. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Thor Ragnarok. Matt, what do you think too? Is that one of the Infinity Gems in the Asgardian Vault? It was.
Well, we saw the Tesseract, that's for sure.
The Tesseract was, or the Cosmic Cube was an Infinity Stone gem. So I thought, but they also said there's a glove, the gauntlet down there that Hela says is fake. So does that mean the gem is fake, or has the other gem been in there the whole time? Because there is one missing, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I read something online that why is there only one Infinity Gauntlet? Maybe there's 2, because it would make a sense if there was a set, and that's how they're gonna go after beat Thanos with their own gauntlet.
Well, Adam Warlock has one, right? Or does he just take Thanos' one?
I don't know. I thought he took Thanos' one.
Yeah, I haven't read that stuff in a very long time, so I don't remember. All right. Really, just a lot of fun. I can't recommend it highly enough. Just from start to finish, hilarious, great action. Just, it's fantastic, man. I'm going to give Thor Ragnarok an A. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to give it an A as well. I had a really, really good time. We're getting into super serious season of the movies. So this was a nice palate cleanser before we really dip into Oscar season, where everything becomes very artsy, and we never talk about it again.
Yeah, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. We'd love to know your thoughts. What do you think of Thor Ragnarok? Where do you rank it in the Marvel pantheon? Shoot us an email. Matt, coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday. That is November 14th. Atomic Blonde, starring Charlize Theron, is being released. You get it from Target. You get some special packaging and some art cards. Best Buy has a steel book. And some deleted scenes, extended ones, some behind-the-scenes featurettes, making of, and all that stuff. Atomic Blonde. I remember being slightly disappointed with that. Not as interesting as I thought it could have been. And the twists and the turns, I kind of feel like, all right, that's enough. Wind River from director Taylor Sheridan, who wrote Hell or High Water and some other stuff as well. This is his one of the film he's directed. It stars Jeremy Renner and one of the Olsen girls, not the twin Olsen women. Excuse me, Elizabeth, right? It's Mary Kate. Elizabeth is the serious actress one, isn't she?
Yeah, it's Elizabeth Olsen. She's the Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch.
There you go. So Wind River is a chilling thriller that follows a rookie FBI agent who teams up with a game tracker, that's Renner, with deep community ties and a haunted past to investigate the mysterious killing of a local girl on a remote Native American reservation. I got to see this in the theater. Pretty good. Kind of just lean, straightforward, pop boiler thriller. Just check it out. I think you'll enjoy it.
All right.
Includes some deleted scenes and a behind-the-scenes video gallery. Criterion is releasing 2 films this week as well, La Samurai and Desert Hearts. The first one starring La Samurai stars Alain Delon, who basically is the French heartthrob. You watch that guy and you're going to fall in love with him as I did. Desert Hearts is Donna Deitch's swooning and sensual first narrative feature, a groundbreaking film back in 1985, a love story about 2 women made entirely independently on a self-financed shoestring budget. Includes a new 4K digital transfer for Desert Hearts. Just a lot of great stuff coming from Criterion. You can pick that up. And as I said last week, the Barnes & Noble sale is running right now through November.
AKA when Chris goes broke.
Basically.
Because he overdoes it. Folks.
There's another Amity film coming out, Matt. This one stars Bella Thorne. And this one's called The Awakening. I don't get the Amityville films. That first movie is really bad. I don't know if you've ever seen it with Brolin and Margot Kidder.
But it's terrible.
And then Preacher Season 2 is being released on Blu-ray. Includes a gag reel and a Raising the Stakes action on the set featurette. Good season. I'm not sure about this show.
No? I thought it was much improved over season 1. I enjoyed it a lot more because it kind of got through all the kind of scene setting and what they had to do. And I like where they were taking it. I mean, I still think it was superior to season 1.
Oh yeah, I think so too. But still, there's something about the show that I just don't know if it feels like. I think the AV Club wrote this too. That feels like they don't really understand how to write a generally entertaining narrative for a season of a show. I don't know why. If we just have these little vignettes and little episodes, but nothing really ever seems to add up to anything.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. And then Kyle Mooney's directorial debut, Brigsby Bear, is being released as well. He also stars in it. He plays a grown-up who is obsessed with a kid's show called Brigsby Bear. And it's just supposed to be one of those weird, wacky, off-the-wall, oddball comedies. Includes some deleted and extended scenes exclusive to the Blu-ray. Audio commentary by Kyle Mooney, as well as Dave McCary and some other stuff as well. And then, Matt, your straight-to-DVD pick of the week
Let's hear it.
Is Homicycle. A blood-soaked, tongue-in-cheek tribute to Grindhouse classics like The Punisher and The Nail Gun Massacre. First off, I've never heard of The Nail Gun Massacre.
Me neither.
And is The Punisher a Grindhouse classic?
Are we sure we're talking about the same Punisher, though? There could be, because we don't know what Nail Gun Massacre is. Maybe we're just not up to date on our Grindhouse classics.
I thought maybe they meant the Dolph Lundgren one, but maybe you're right. Maybe there's an entirely different Grindhouse film called The Punisher. It's a good point. I should shut up. In a city riddled with corruption, drugs, and gangs, a veteran cop is murdered by a vicious kingpin. But there it is, kingpin. Sparking a brutal crime wave. I have not drank at all tonight, but it certainly sounds like I have.
Sure.
Only one man can stop the bloodshed. A ruthless motorcycle riding vigilante bent on bloody revenge called Homicycle. He's now picking off the killers one by one. Armed with an arsenal from hell, he's cleaning the streets by decapitation, nail gun, and motorcycle madness. Is he a gun-toting savior on a path of righteous redemption, or is he literally hell on wheels? He is Homicycle. What should we be streaming this week besides Homicycle?
Well, obviously Homicycle, but if you can't find Homicycle, you know what? I have to say this. Amazon Prime is really knocking it out of the park with what they've got available. So I'm going to select one of our favorite movies of last year, Arrival, directed by Denis Villeneuve of Blade Runner 2049 film, who finally got that 2049th sequel right. It only took that many. This is basically the story of some
Never gets old.
Never gets old. This is basically the story of aliens that come down to planet Earth, and Amy Adams plays a linguist who is tasked with trying to decipher their language and decide what they want or figure out what they want. It's really a cerebral, kind of not really actiony science fiction. So it's a change of pace from your usual aliens or trying to kill us, let's shoot them all kind of thing. It's a very slow-paced film, but it's very cool as far as hard-ish science films go.
Yeah, if you want to hear how dumb I am, you can go track down that episode of the show. Mm-hmm. See if I can actually pull it up right now. Of Arrival, and it's episode 329 when I say she is a super smart interpreter.
She's got the best words. She's got all the degrees. She's very smart. The big brain.
Look at the big brain on Brad. That's right. All right, Matt. So let's move on then. Let's do the lounge. But remember, whenever we do a late night episode, we always got to be slightly inappropriate.
All right.
All right. So that is a theme from an adult film, a classic adult film from the 70s. Email us if you know what it is, and Matt will send you a digital copy of it because I'm sure he owns it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I think I hear a pizza man and or a plumber at the door right now. I better go check it out.
All right, so we got the lounge, Matt. Got a few things to talk about. One thing that I just read today that really drove me crazy. Ridley Scott says that the Alien franchise, you know what the Alien franchise needs, Matt?
What's that?
You want to take a guess what Ridley Scott said the franchise needs?
More aliens?
Less.
Oh, less.
It needs fewer xenomorphs. Too many aliens. We've done it to death. So let's make alien films without the alien. Your thoughts?
That makes absolutely no sense at all. How can you have an alien film with no aliens? How can you get less than one? I mean, I don't understand. Is it going to be like an alien with no legs? It's going to be half an alien running around? Ridley Scott needs to sit down. He's drunk. Somebody needs to.
Yeah, I don't quite understand the thought process behind this at all. People, it's such a brilliant design that Giger did. People want that's what we're going for. I hate to tell you, just execute it and do it well. But I don't think people thought the problem with Prometheus, the success of Prometheus was the lack of a real xenomorph. They didn't think, that's why that movie was successful. In fact, that was one of the big complaints about it, is that it didn't really have the xenomorph until the end, where it had that thing that may or may not have been one type of a thing. So, no, that's just insane.
It is. Yeah, I think Ridley needs to. I think he just needs to just step away from the franchise. You're really messing it up. Let somebody else mess with it. Not that I feel.
Then you get Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection. So maybe is it
that's
best?
true.
Maybe let's just call it. Maybe we're
Yeah.
unless you just get the right people. Taiki Waititi, give me an alien film. Dennis Villeneuve.
Exactly. Give me an alien film. Neil Blomkamp, you had your chance, but I saw Chappie, and it's terrible. Elysium
Edgar
was
Wright.
very good either.
Give me an alien film, Edgar Wright, with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Now, do you think you could actually have an alien film that would be fun if it was funny? That seems like something you would just not want to do. Is have something
I wouldn't want to watch that.
Have a giant penis monster that would suddenly be funny.
Jordan Peele, maybe, because he's doing that Twilight Zone thing, which I'm very excited about. Wait, is that a CBS All Access thing?
I hope not. I don't know. I didn't look into it. I if it is, I'm not watching it. I have not watched Star Trek Discovery at all, and I love Star Trek, but I'm just not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Hey, anybody want to guess what the #1 pirated television show is out there right now?
It's not Game of Thrones anymore. What is it, Chris? Why don't you tell us?
What could it possibly be, CBS? Could it be Star Trek Discovery?
It could be. Wow, that's amazing.
I hate people that are dumb, and you're dumb. All right, Matt. So what do you got for me?
All right,
I'm just going to keep replaying this theme underneath.
I like how that's just going to keep going. Although at some point, one of these topics you're going to have to stop that because it's going to be very inappropriate.
All right, we'll see how it goes. What do you got?
All right, so Neil Blomkamp.
Oh, you're not bringing up Spacey, are you? You're bringing up Spacey, aren't you?
Well, yeah, we're probably going to have to talk about Spacey.
All right, good to hear.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about him now. Neil Blomkamp. So is this guy done? I mean, he just released a short film, Praetoria, but after the underwhelming film that was Elysium, although it had impressive violence and the absolute train wreck that Chappie was, have we put too much faith in him? Should he be just basically sent back to film school at this point?
I think he's. Listen, I don't have the disdain of Chappie that you do. I don't think it's great or even that good, but I don't think it's a train wreck of a film. I confess I don't know if I can answer this question because I haven't seen any of his short films, so I don't know. I have to unfortunately abstain due to a big bucket full of ignorance. I couldn't tell you. Now, based on the stuff he's done, I would say no. Because of the Shyamalan factor. I mean, he made District 9's a good film.
It is.
So maybe he still got it in him. Shyamalan had to shake it out. I don't know what it took and what happened, but he pieced it together with what's the one when they go visit their grandparents? I can't remember.
The Visit.
The Visit, which is solid. It's actually really entertaining and creepy as hell. And then of course Split, which just knocked me out of the theater when we had the big reveal at the end. So I'm gonna go no, but he's on the fence. He's on the Shyamalan line. Is that a thing?
He's on the Shyamalan. Well, maybe he just needs to. Maybe you know what? Maybe he's like Shyamalan in the sense that he's got to make B movies. Maybe he's got to work with a small budget because he did for District 9 and he produced something good and lean, and then they started throwing money at him and he just kind of. He didn't know what to do with it. So maybe that's what he has to do. He has more of a low budget B-movie filmmaker like Shyamalan obviously is.
Maybe.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm bored of this topic. Let's move on.
All
that's
right,
fine. Matt, they've made a new X-Men movie.
Okay,
It's going to be the New Mutants. I don't see Cannonball. I don't see Sunspot.
No.
I don't see Magic. Maybe she's in it. I don't know. Maybe that's what Anya Taylor-Johnson's playing or whatever her name is. No, but it's a horror film, Matt. They've actually taken a hard left, and they're making a horror film with a New Mutants franchise.
Right.
Is it a good idea? What do you think?
It's a horrible idea. I like that they're trying to do something different, and I understand that Fox is trying to create their own universe and create its own kind of feel, but they've just bungled the X-Men so badly. I mean, and don't get me wrong, they have entertaining films. I thought Days of Future Past is very good, or at least entertaining. Logan is very good. X2 is still pretty good, but as a whole, they're just kind of a mess, and they're tonally all over the place. And I think this is just a huge mistake. And I don't understand why anybody would think that the New Mutants, which were literally supposed to be some of the dumbest mutants around as far as their powers go and just kind of silly, why they would want to make it a horror movie. I mean, for God's sakes, they had a guy on the team whose superpower was he could speak or read any language. That was his entire superpower, and he was on the team until they killed him. But he was there. So I mean, the whole thing is that they're dumb, and I don't understand what they're trying to do with this.
When did they kill him? Was that Fall of the Mutants?
At all? I think so. Yeah. And no one was sad.
Yeah, no, I don't quite get it. No, they weren't. No, but Cannonball's pretty cool.
Cannonball is pretty cool.
But yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I don't get it. I listen. You know what? I'll applaud their efforts trying to do something different, and we'll see if it works. But I think there's just enough of a story to just tell the New Mutant story, and you didn't even have to do any of that crappy Liefeld stuff, right? You can just go back to the core beginning stuff with Of course, I'm blanking on who wrote it. Was it Claremont? Did Chris Claremont do the New Mutants, the original ones? I know Walter Simonson did the art, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I think it was a Claremont series.
No, not Simonson.
He could do.
It was Sykenwich. Bill Sykenwich. Didn't he do the art? Either way. Barry Windsor-Smith. I'm just name dropping Marvel artists from the 80s now. So, but still, yeah, no, you know what? Fine. Let's see what it is. Maybe it's going to be brilliant, and we're going to have a whole new thing now where this is like a series, right? Is it going to be like a trilogy or it's some kind of thing where it's...
If this thing gets more than one film, I will be absolutely amazed. I cannot imagine this thing is going to make enough money or be popular enough to where they're going to make more of them.
It's got Anya Taylor-Joy. It's got what's her name from the Game of Thrones, right?
I don't care. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. No.
All right.
You know, and you know what? Since we're talking about this, all my hopes and dreams were raised and then quickly dashed when I heard that Disney was in talks with 20th Century Fox to buy their entertainment arm, because that would be the greatest thing that would ever happen. That if we could get the X-Men and the Fantastic Four back under the Marvel umbrella, that would just open up so much, Chris. DCEU would be done. It'd be done. They just might as well sell their stuff to Marvel so they could make their own movies.
Yeah, that would have been great for the fans, because I think though Age of Apocalypse was made, there was nothing really entertaining. The whole thing just felt DOA, didn't it? I mean, the film was inert. It felt like it was just look here, we own X-Men, so here's an X-Men movie. Watch it.
Yeah, you liked Age of Apocalypse, didn't you guys? Come on, nerds.
So we'll see if they redeem themselves with the Dark Phoenix thing, but I don't see how. So, and then how does that work? Because the Dark Phoenix thing originally already happened in the X-Men universe, sort of, with Famke Johnson, right? When it wasn't like
Well, that's the beauty of Days of Future Past. Basically, they hit the reset button with Days of Future Past. Whatever.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Star Trek. Wait, is this a Star Trek Kelvin thing? I didn't realize that's what happened.
Basically, yeah, because I think at the end of Days of Future Past, Wolverine comes back and Cyclops is still alive and the school is still standing and everybody's still best friends and Jean's still around. So I think they've created like these alternate timeline kind of things, and I think they just basically use that as a soft reboot to start over with First Class, which I didn't really like, because Mystique's not even anywhere near the same character that she was in that original trilogy.
That's because they got Jennifer Lawrence.
J-Law. They got J-Law.
All right. Yeah, no, I don't. It would have been interesting, and I liked what you could have gotten that X-Men versus Avengers film. There's so many different things they could have done. Just the biggest thing for me though, out of that, I don't even care about X-Men. I know you and I chatted about this a little bit the other day, but to get Doctor Doom into the MCU
be fantastic.
Would be worth it just for that. One of the best comic villains, I think, of all time. To get him into the MCU proper would just be fantastic. But now he's just stuck being done in the Fantastic Four films and being done wrong every time. And they can't even give him armor. I can't wrap my head around this. Well, they can't even give him like a suit of armor. It always has to be this weird organic techno kind of thing. I don't understand it. His story is so interesting and fascinating, and he's such a cool villain. there's no reason to screw it up or to change it. They do every time, and I don't understand why.
I know. Well, and it's not. And Doctor Doom would be the absolute get, but I mean, don't get me. I think the Silver Surfer would be fun. I would love to see like I can't even say his name. Say it for me. What's his name?
Taiki Waititi?
Yes. Waititi to direct a Silver Surfer film. Because, I mean, Silver Surfer's stupid, but it could be fun.
And he would be perfect for that.
Yeah, he would be. And, it's really the perfect timing because Stewart's not doing Professor X anymore. I think Fassbender and McAvoy have had just about enough. They need a new Wolverine. So basically, if they could just get the rights and just wipe the slate clean and just start over, that would be the best case scenario for everybody involved.
We could ditch the Inhumans thing that just doesn't really work.
It's not working at all. Have you watched the show at all?
I haven't watched Inhumans at all, no. And I didn't realize, too, that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't coming back till, December or even early next year?
Oh, really?
I guess because they're pushing this Inhumans.
Okay. Well, it's not being...
Hard pass.
I haven't watched The Defenders yet, either. I didn't watch Iron Fist, nor have I watched The Defenders.
That's my issue, too. I'm 2 episodes out on Luke Cage.
Yeah.
So I have to finish that. I have to then watch Iron Fist, which is supposed to just be a slog, and then into Defenders because Punisher's coming out. What, in a week or two?
It is in a week or two. That soon?
It's November, I believe. Yeah.
It is. Oh man. Wow. I'm gonna have to watch me some Punisher. Yeah, there's a lot of Marvel. There's way too much TV. I don't have time for this. I'm getting too old. I'll be dead before I can watch everything.
I haven't seen a single episode of Legends of Tomorrow yet this season. I'm up on Flash for the most part. I haven't seen yesterday's yet, and then I'm 2 episodes out on Arrow. So well, of course it took me Preacher was over for a month by the time I finished watching it. I haven't seen any of the other Walking Dead show. I'm a week out on The Walking Dead. Just so much that I'm behind on that it's just ridiculous. I haven't even finished the Netflix MST3K reboot.
Me neither.
I'm only like 8 episodes into that.
I know. Well, and here's the thing, and this is what I realized. My living situation has changed, and I'm not going to talk about it on the air. But I don't have the DVR anymore like I used to. And you know what? I have all these things that I was going to watch, and I'm not watching any of them, and I don't actually even really miss it at all. It's really weird. I just watch Stranger Things. I watch Mindhunter, and I'm good. I don't miss it that much. Yeah, it is.
That's doing.
That's right.
Yeah. Which of course, stay tuned or check out the First Run Focus where we're going week by week for Stranger Things and Mindhunter.
Plug.
All right, Matt. What else you got? Or is it my turn?
No, it's my turn. So let's talk about it. Did you turn off the porn music?
It's over. Yeah.
Okay.
Over. Go ahead.
All right. So the floodgates have opened in Hollywood, where I guess the tolerance for the kind of stereotypical behavior that we've all heard rumors about is just gone. So Kevin Spacey, on the heels of Harvey Weinstein, he was accused by Anthony Rapp that he sexually assaulted Anthony Rapp when Anthony Rapp was only 14 years old, and which even makes it even more heinous. And and just more and more stuff seems to be coming out with Spacey. And I just read this today that in All the Money in
TV reporter thing.
No. So Spacey was in an upcoming film, All the Money in the World by Ridley Scott, and Scott is actually removing him from the film and reshooting all of his scenes with Christopher Plummer, replacing him as the actor. Yeah. So basically Spacey is pretty much he's done. He's completely done. And it's just crazy to me. I mean, it's just like more and more of this stuff is coming out, and it's just it's just insane. The stuff that's coming out.
I guess some TV reporter said that he touched her son.
Okay.
Had his hands down the kid's pants. I don't know how old the kid is. I only saw in passing, but it's just it's horrifying. And good. I'm glad that his career's over. It's just disgusting and it's horrible, and the world is horrible. Thank God we have Thor Ragnarok.
We have Thor Ragnarok to make us feel better. We have Marvel films to make us feel better. We have Blade Runner sequels. Hopefully, we'll get a 2050th. Although it lost it lost like $80 million, unfortunately, because we can't have nice things. Yeah, now I can't watch Seven or The Usual Suspects, which were two movies I really liked.
Your American Beauty.
No American Beauty. Although, now I can justifiably, not that I didn't deserve it anyway, things like, Pay It Forward or K-Pax. I mean, yes, those things are now stricken for the record for good, for all reasons. Yeah. So, yes, exactly. But God, Usual Suspects. Come on, man. God.
Gross. All right. So, Matt, let's speculate wildly about Justice League. It's coming out in a week. I was pulling some clips for the show, and I saw a new clip. YouTube has been inundated with new clips from Justice League. There are like 5 or 6 actual scenes from the film on there now. So now I have to avoid those like the plague. I started watching one to pull a clip, like, oh, maybe there'll be like 10 seconds of something new in this clip. I don't know. No, it's a whole damn scene of something. And so I immediately closed it out because I didn't want to see anymore. So we're going to just speculate wildly about this. Matt, who is going to show up? Is it going to be Supergirl or Green Lantern or both? I say that because the rumor is Green Lantern is going to show up, but in the trailer, there's a part where Bruce Wayne is looking up at a hologram of what appears to be Superman because there's a red cape flapping, there's red boots, except there's exposed skin above said boots, and the frame of the person looks smaller. My theory is that it's Kara Zor-El, but I'm not sure. So what do you think? Supergirl going to show up in this thing? Are we going to get what are the odds Green Lantern shows up? Answer that first.
I'm going to give Green Lantern at least in a cameo. I'm going to say 80%. Especially cameo, because they mention him. They mention that there's no lanterns that are protecting Earth.
True.
In the trailer. Yeah. Ooh, so is it going to be? I don't think it's going to be Hal Jordan. No. I think it's gonna be Jon Stewart personally, because Guy Gardner.
The retcon of Cyborg. You think that's all part of it, or
maybe,
or they just want to let the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern thing rest a little longer?
I think so. I think they want the Ryan Reynolds thing to rest a little longer. And besides, Jon Stewart's is like the paragon of the Lanterns. I mean, Guy Gardner's annoying, and he could be a good good film, but that's not the one you want to introduce. Obviously, Hal Jordan. Maybe
it'll just be Abin Sur then.
Yeah. What was Abin Sur? What was the other one? Kyle
Rayner.
Kyle Rayner. Yeah, they're not going to go with him. I really think it's going to be Jonathan Stewart, especially with the fact that he was in a lot of the Justice League cartoons. So I think there's a built-in base for it. Although I would get some perverse pleasure if they actually got Ryan Reynolds to come back and be Hal Jordan and be just like that thing never happened. That would be actually kind of awesome if they had the guts to do that, which they don't, but I would love it at the same time.
Yeah, no. Nathan Fillion, I think, would be good as a Hal Jordan.
Yeah,
I think he was. But to your couple of the animated, I think.
Was he really? So as far as it going to be Supergirl, I'm going to say 65% chance because Supergirl hasn't really been talked about at all. Although I think it would be, I would have some kind of perverse pleasure. I'm going to say it's 60% that it's Supergirl, 50% that it's Power Girl, just because Zack Snyder couldn't resist having that chest cut out thing, and maybe a 15% chance that it's Crypto the Superdog. That's really what I'm going with.
I wouldn't mind Crypto. I'm going to lay down odds too, Matt. I'm going to say 20% that there's a Martian Manhunter cameo in there. So.
Oh, maybe that's the red cape. Martian Manhunter had a red cape. That's for sure. I would love to see a deadly serious Crypto. Can you imagine Batflack sitting there talking all grim to Crypto the Superdog? That would be so amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that all shakes out. So Justice League 2, other rumors that when Superman returns in this film, and he will show up, it's just a matter of when. The rumor is that the John Williams score will play.
No. God, I want that to be true so bad. I'm going to say 90, even though I would love it. I mean, just because I know Joss Whedon had a hand in this and putting it together, I think I could see Joss Whedon doing it for sure. If he had any kind of say over final editing, and I would absolutely love that. And I would also love if Superman at the end of Justice League flies around the Earth, spins it all the way back to Man of Steel, and it just starts over with something a little less dour, and then just soft reboot the DCEU.
I think maybe that's the only way I would allow that turning back time thing to happen. The fact, that in Superman 2, the original version with Richard Donner's version, he did the same damn thing. Same thing.
Did he?
As he did the first film. How lazy can you be? All right.
Well, I mean, it's like, if you got the power to turn back time, why would you fight anything? Why would you just not spin it back around and, just start over and just call it a day?
So the other rumor is that Elfman's going to reuse his Michael Keaton Batman score as well at one point, but that also could be because there was a but a rough cut of the film without special effects input and some other stuff. And I guess there was a Batman scene where that was playing, so there could have just been a fill-in while the score was being done. So we'll see. Would it be cool? Yeah, it'd be cool. I'd like to hear that. Sure, what up, whatever. But still, I don't know how. I think it's more likely that we get Williams' score than it is we get Elfman's own Batman score. But it's possible.
Yeah, I think we get Williams' score. I would be very surprised if we got Elfman's score. I would think it's more likely that we got like the stuff from Nolan's films before we got anything from the old 80s Batman films. Hell,
the other thing too,
maybe
I actually like Hans Zimmer's Man of Steel theme. I think it's pretty good. Yeah. I don't know if it's not as bombastic and as thrilling as the John Williams score is, but it's still really good. So I'm fine either way, though I think they will sneak it in. Yeah. Sorry, what were you going to say?
So what are the odds that we get maybe some Batusi in there or something? That would be awesome.
I know you're desperate for a Mixie's Pitalik Batmite team up, but
I am.
I don't know if
Here's the thing. So Chris is. So I know we've talked about this to all of our loyal listeners. Chris is a huge DC fan. I'm the Marvel fanboy. He's the DC fanboy, and this is killing him. This is killing his soul so much that the Marvel movies are so much better. Like the 3 that came out this year are head and shoulders better than any of the other ones that have come out for the DCEU. Now, don't get me wrong. Wonder Woman's a good movie, but it's a solid 4 after Thor, Spider-Man, and Guardians 2. And it's killing you inside.
I'm not prepared to say that out loud. But it does kill me that I have seen a fantastic Thor film. And I have not seen a fantastic Batman or Superman film in this series. It does bother me.
Yeah, it should bother you. I mean, hell, you gotta, God. I mean, even as messed up as Fox is, I mean, they've got a classic film in Logan, and they've got a really good one in Deadpool. I mean, they can even manage to pull it off. All
right, enough. I get it. Anything else about Justice League since we're a little more than we're about a week and a half out?
The only thing is that I'm absolutely, I must have been having a mini stroke or something when we were doing that betting, because somehow my Rotten Tomatoes score is higher than yours for Justice League. I cannot believe I did that, but it's in stone now. I can't change it. I am not confident that I'm going to win this thing for sure.
Well, you're back in the lead. Murray the Orient Express popped back up to 66% tonight. So you are officially winning that one again. Nice. There was a point this afternoon when you had gone over, but some bastard critics have now enjoyed it. So I have to hope for some more. I have to hope for a couple more negative reviews.
But you know what?
So you gave Justice League a 72%. Yeah. I gave it a 62.
I think I'm going to lose that one. I cannot believe I must have been drunk or something.
I think it was the Whedon factor. I think is what you were counting it.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, you know what? I mean, I think even we were talking about killing of a sacred deer. And you know what, Chris? I was talking about maybe when we were going to call that, because it's been out for a long time in limited release. And guess what? Some more critics liked it. And I think now you're in the lead for Killing of Sacred Deer. I think I might have actually gone over.
77% currently. I'm 78. I'm over.
Oh,
You're
okay.
62.
Okay.
So I need at least 1 or 2 more critics to like it.
Yep.
Oh, crap. I'm getting my ass handed to me right now.
It's all right. It's all right. I mean, this Justice League thing that's gonna work against me for sure. It's gonna be and Phantom Thread. I put a lot of eggs in that cart for Phantom Thread. Although I am pretty surprised. I think I'm gonna win Disaster Artist too. I think Disaster Artist. I went higher than you, and I'm feeling pretty confident. I can't wait for that movie.
That's gonna sit, I think, in the 90s. I think I'm screwed on Disaster Artist. And I think the big gamble I had is Star Wars: The Last Jedi as well.
Yeah,
at 72.
It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight. And we got $35. We got real money on the line here.
That's right.
$35.
Damn. And yeah, but I'm gonna send it to you in pennies. It costs a lot of money. It costs more than that just to ship it. All right. Do you have anything else? I'm expired. I got nothing left.
No, I'm done. I think the lounge is over with today.
Good times. Good times. Mm-hmm. Just an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Let us know your thoughts about all these topics. Let's go a little light on the spacey. I need a break. Next week, though, Matt, it's going to be Murder on the Orient Express.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try and work in as well The House, because we still never finished up our bracket. Though I am going to watch the original Murder on the Orient Express because, Matt, I have owned that film for 8 years on DVD. Never watched it.
Money well spent.
So I'm going to check that one out as well. And who knows what else will show up. Check us out at thefirstrun.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Do a search. Just scroll. You'll eventually find us. And that's going to be the big show for this week. Matt, let's go ahead and take an extended break. And we will see you all soon.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
All right. So that was, I guess, what is it? They went to some sick kid, or they did something, and I guess they did this for a couple films now. They had them write a line for the film, and it was that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right, you ready to bust out the shows, or are you good?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's do it, all man.
Here we go. Chris Kelsey here with Matt Howell as he learns to use his mute button. So in this episode of the First Run Focus, Matt and I are going to discuss Season 2, Stranger Things, Episode 3, and then Mindhunter. I like that we both screwed up the intro, so it's even. Mindhunter, Season 1, Episode 3. Matt, let's talk about this week. Let's start things off, of course, with Stranger Things. So, this one involves a polywog named D'Artagnan.
Mm-hmm.
We find out a little more what happened with Elle and how she hooked up with Hopper. And there's something going on with all that. You know what? I'm getting ahead of myself, Matt. I actually have a clip because I want to talk about this clip for a second. So here, let's hear a clip from Stranger Things, Episode 3.
Is that you I heard milling around last night, or was that a ghost?
Me, probably.
Had a nightmare?
No.
Did I ever tell you about Mr. Baldo?
Mr. Baldo?
Yeah. I was a little younger than you, standing in line for the Ferris wheel at the Rowan County Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, I feel this fat white glove tap me on the shoulder. I spin around, and there he is, Mr. Baldo. Hey, kiddo, would you like a balloon? Go ahead, laugh. It's funny. It wasn't funny back then, I can tell you that. I couldn't get him out of my head. Every night, he would come to me in my dreams. And every night when he came to me, I ran. It got so bad that I made my mom stay in the room with me until I could fall asleep every night.
Really?
Really. It went on like that for months. And then one day, the nightmares suddenly stopped. Want to know how?
How?
Well, I fell asleep. And just like always, Mr. Baldo came to me. Only this time, I didn't run. This time, I stood my ground. I just looked at Mr. Baldo and his stupid face, and I said, "Go away! Go away!" Just like that, he was gone. Never saw him again. Easy peasy, right?
All right, Matt. So this is the first episode of the season, not rendered and directed by the Duffer Brothers. So that clip, though, is Sean Astin's character, who is currently dating Will's mom and is attempting to kind of be a surrogate dad. Man, that clip for me almost locked it in that he is up to something. I think he is a plant. I think that the way he says you got to stand up, because we see what happens to Will at the end of the episode, right? And I don't want to spoil too much and say anything, but it ain't good.
It ain't good. It ain't good at all.
And I'm just thinking, I don't know. There's something about that clip, and there's a lot of little things as well throughout the first few episodes that we've seen that something's up with this guy, and I don't know what. Now, maybe it's a feint, maybe it's a misdirection, but I don't know. What do you think? You think am I onto something, or is
yeah? I mean, it's definitely we've been conditioned, especially in these type of stories, to not trust anybody. As far as somebody who's too nice and who's new and is an outsider. So I mean, I think Bob gets that vibe. I think we also get that from Paul Reiser's Dr. Owen character. Is he really as nice as he is? Does he really have everybody's best interest in heart, or is he cold and calculating?
Come on, we know Reiser's a weasel in this thing.
You think so? So I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a feint. Maybe I'm conditioned to think that way, and I think that is the story beat that we're expecting. But I could see that at least one of them turns out to be an all right person. I think the Duffers could be planting one as a feint to say, you think that these two guys are going to be bad, but one of them is who he says he is, and we'll have to see how it plays out. And if it is, I mean, that's not bad advice. I mean, it's not like he knows that there's a gigantic shadow monster trying to get into Will's brain, so he thinks it's just a nightmare. It's not bad advice if he's not a bad dude. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? He doesn't know that he's in a Stephen King horror movie. He doesn't know that.
That's true. He doesn't.
Cut Sean Astin some break.
So a lot of stuff happens in this episode, but I feel like it's still, I don't know, we're inching along, right? And we're getting little pieces of information, little things are happening here and there, but and there's some great little moments, but I got to tell you, Matt, this episode left me generally unfulfilled. I enjoyed it, but it didn't really pop for me. I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, there's still a lot of table setting on this, and like you said, a lot happens, and they got to touch in on a lot of different characters. I mean, they got to touch in, with the boys and the polywog that they find, and they got to touch in with Eleven with what she's doing, and then there's Steve and Nancy and Jonathan and Justice for Barb, and then you've got Bob and Joyce. So you've got all of these kind of separate characters who are all off doing their own things, and they kind of got to touch on every little piece of them. And I think
a lot of balls in the air, Matt.
There are
a lot of balls in the air.
And I think that's probably, if I have one criticism of the season so far, is that one of the strengths of the first season was the fact it's how these characters interacted with each other, the kind of camaraderie of the boys and how everybody was together, and everybody's separated, and you can definitely feel that disconnect, and it's not meshing as well as it did last season. So I'm hoping that this is temporary, but I mean, we're 3 episodes in and it still feels like that. So it's a little concerning to see how this is going to go.
Yeah. So a couple key points of interest I felt too. It looks like Max has officially joined the team, much against Mike's protests. I think one of the more interesting things is the relationship now between Hopper and 11. But there is one interesting thing when Elle is yelling at him about how many days have passed, and at one point she says 326 days.
Yeah.
3 plus 2 is 5 plus 6 is what?
It's 11. Aw.
How about that? And but I think I'm wondering too about Hopper. I'm wondering if now, because he's clearly given himself a father figure role for 11, or L, as we like to call it, because we're all friends. And I'm wondering though, is a story arc for him going to be? Are we going to get a little more obsession on his part to protect her? Considering we still don't know really much about his daughter, right? But she's clearly kind of become that stand-in role for him. I'm just kind of curious where that's going to go, if anywhere. What do you think? Do you have any thoughts? Does that hit you at all? Now let's also level set for the audience that you are much deeper into this. In fact, I think the last time we discussed this, you only had 2 episodes to go. Have you since finished it?
No, I stopped because I didn't want to get too far ahead of you and ruin all this for you. But I think part of it is, and this is something I did read. I can't take credit for this. I did read this on the AV Club, and I think it fits. Is that Hopper lost his daughter when she was very young, and obviously young kids don't question their parents, and they think that their parents know everything, and they walk on water, and they don't they don't rebel. And Elle is not that old. She's 13. She's becoming a teenager. She's starting to rebel, and I don't think Hopper knows how to deal with that. He still thinks of her. He only knows how to parent as a 5-year-old, or however old his daughter was when she passed away. So I think he's struggling with the fact that Elle's trying to assert her independence, and he's still trying to parent her like you would parent a little kid by sending her to her room and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's where the rubbing up against each other in the wrong way.
Fair enough. That works for me. Actually, it makes a lot of sense to me. All right, a couple of things I thought were interesting as well. Clearly, Nancy and Jonathan's phones are bugged, or at least Nancy's is, right? Because she calls Barb's parents and sets up some weird clandestine meeting. Now, what I'm not sure of, though, is if, maybe you can correct me, is if that's to verify if they are indeed being recorded and watched, or if it's more they're trying to convince Barb's parents that they need to move on and there's no great grand thing going on.
I think it could be. I think maybe both. I think both. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be, obviously they would want Barb's parents to stop looking into it because they wanted, to keep it going. But at the same time, they probably want to keep tabs on it and make sure that they're not, obviously getting too far.
And of course, Joyce has her own revelation. Winona Ryder's character, she now sees that Will's visions or dreams are not nightmares or flashbacks; they're actually visions of something. Where there's an interesting scene with that on spools. I'll let you kind of watch that to kind of see how that all plays out. But a lot happening in here, and I think one of the interesting things too is how the Phineas Cage reference ties in the end potentially for Will, and I'm kind of curious to see what happens. If you're not familiar with Phineas Cage, that's the guy who actually had the rail spike, or he had something go through his head, and he survives, right. But his personality changes drastically. So there's kind of some points to that, but with Will's, I don't want to use the word fate, but what happens to Will by the end of this episode. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen next. So that's probably the thing I'm most interested to see next week, is what happens to Will after his thing.
His thing?
Yes, his thing. So do you guys want to talk about? Do you want to move on to the 80s references we spotted, if any, or what do you?
No, there's nothing I want to talk about on this one. And I have to admit, I did not rewatch this for this episode, so I don't remember a lot of the 80s references. Some of the ones that are in the later episodes that I have seen, I really want to see if you catch them. I mean, we're not talking, and guys, we're not talking about, that they have Walkmans and they have, the on the nose, really on the nose soundtrack selections for a lot of this stuff. But there are things that are coming up that are direct callbacks to 80s movies, and I'm curious to see if we'll catch them. So I don't know if you caught any of that stuff in this episode.
For me, yeah, it would be so as the last episode before this ends, there's something making noise in his trash can. He pulls it up, I think, and it's a little pollywog looking thing, right? So for me, that's kind of a Gremlins reference. And we'll see what happens. Of course, this one doesn't like light, or maybe it's heat as well. There's also a couple, the on the nose ones is the ET doll, the Dungeons and Dragons toy, the Ghostbuster certificate on the wall in Dustin's room, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But for me, probably my favorite one is Teen Wolf reference. At least it was a Teen Wolf reference for me. Is the basketball game.
Yes.
Between what's his name there and the new kid, Max's brother,
Steve and Billy.
Yeah, there's a little Top Gun back and forth, but for me it was more of a Teen Wolf reference, especially the shot at the end of the scene that he makes that just screamed Teen Wolf to me. Yeah. That's pretty much all I really grabbed from that was the Gremlins and then the obvious on the nose ones. Oh, of course the cat hissing at Dustin's thing, which I guess would be an Alien reference.
Yes.
So
yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, there's they get pretty deep and like, as they go forward and move, you're gonna catch stuff as a movie nerd that I caught. If you don't catch it, I'm gonna be very disappointed in you. So I'm actually judging you right now. And please,
sure.
and I don't wanna spoil anything, but you keep an eye on Steve. Steve is turning into my favorite character of this entire season. So
oh really?
Yeah. Steve MVP. He's the man.
Okay. We'll have to see how that turns out. Hopper's been my guy, so that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to talk about Mindhunter? Right. Let's do that.
All right. But we got it. All right. Mindhunter episode 3. I got a clip for you, Matt, for this one as well. That's a perfect distillation of why I love this show and why I think this week, Mindhunter was the stronger episode. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and take a looky-loo. Listen. Looky-loo is when you're looking at something. It's late. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Ed, why did you do what you did with her head?
Why does anyone? That night I walked up to her bed. She's laying there reading a paperback, as many thousands of nights before. She says, "Oh, I suppose you're going to want to wait up all night and talk now." Can you believe that? Wait up all night talking. Shit. And I knew I was going to kill her. I was honest with myself for the first time. Because I'm not a lizard, not from under a rock. I came out of her vagina. I came out of my mother.
Is it true that you put part of her into the garbage disposal?
Her vocal cords.
Why?
Because I couldn't shut her up. She wanted to destroy me with words, literally, so I shut her up for good. And now everyone knows it was because of what she did to me, because of the way she treated her son. Pizza. You guys.
It's that scene, Matt. With pizza, you guys. So we revisit Ed Kemper again, and he's another great moment too when he's talking to Tench, Matt, where he winks at Tench and talks about he's not an attractive guy, but he always had an eye for the pretty girls. You're the same, aren't you? Wink at Tench, and it's how he's just saying such horrible things, but he seems perfectly delightful, and normal, and that's what makes him so terrifying. So we don't spend a lot of time with Ed this time. In fact, we almost get cheated out of a visit to a serial killer, unfortunately, which has an interesting scene in it. The episode opens up with more BTK. I was kind of hoping that we were going to have a different serial killer at the beginning of every episode, which is kind of a weird thing to wish for. But still, we have more BTK this time when he's, I guess, casing a house. He's now an ADT. Alarm installer guy, which I'm learning more and more about the character, just researching it every week for this show. Yeah, and that's the scary thing is that people knew that he was out there and they were hiring ADT, so he would be the guy that would show up. Could you just imagine? I can't. It's horrifying, and this show continues to be horrifying and electric.
It is.
We finally get Anna Torv from one of my favorite shows, Fringe. She plays a professor who is basically on board and really supports what the guys are doing and really sees the benefit to it. There's a couple scenes, though, where it interacts with Holden, where she looks at him almost like he's a subject of hers as well. I don't know if you caught that. That was really interesting.
Mhm.
And I think Holden's having an interesting arc now where he can feel, I'm just going to sound cliched, but I feel like he can feel kind of maybe the darkness growing inside him as he gets deeper in with these people.
Mhm.
He has a really interesting scene with his girlfriend because he's ironing in the middle of the night. But it's just, I don't know. I really think this was another exceptionally strong episode. They solved the case of the broomstick assaults that turns into a murder. The interrogation scene with this really subtle, almost ambient score underneath it when they pull up, just haunting it. That whole scene, that whole grouping, when they talk to the suspect of it is just fantastic. Just another fantastic hour of television for me, Matt, for Mindhunter. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's absolutely fantastic. Although I think it's interesting when you talk about the darkness that's developing on Holden. Now that you say that, it's a little on the nose because there's a scene towards the end of the episode where he's hanging out with his girlfriend and he says, "I hope these people don't get into my head, the way they treat women and the view sex and stuff like that." And it's like, well, now I'm thinking, okay, a little bit on the nose, hopefully not so clumsy with their telegraphing, but yeah, otherwise this is fantastic. And this is the thing. Cameron Britton, man, he is the MVP of this show. I mean, he is so good as Ed Kemper, and it's weird to say that, but I mean, he is just absolutely chilling just watching this guy. I don't know how they're going to top this. I mean, I'm really concerned that once Ed Kemper stops showing up, it's going to be a lot less of an interesting show. So, and not that the whole thing with the broomstick killer and Dwight, that was still good, but he's no Ed Kemper for sure. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out and if it can keep this going without him being in the picture anymore.
I rewatched this episode again too, just to kind of refamiliarize myself because I originally watched it like a week or so ago. And after that scene when he goes, "Ooh, pizza, you guys," this guy deserves an Emmy. It's that good a performance. It
is because he goes completely dead-eyed and like he's talking about why he did what he did, and then the dude walks in with pizza, and it's just he's like completely normal again. It's like when we take Chris to Pepe's, that's exactly how he looks. He says, "Ooh, pizza."
Yeah, it's just that's a fantastic episode. I can't wait to watch the next one. And of course, it closes beautifully with David Bowie's "Right" from the Young Americans album, one of his best. So I was very happy to hear that as well. It was a perfect ending, I think, for the episode as well. So just another exceptionally strong episode, Matt. We didn't give Stranger Things a grade. I'm going to go just to backtrack. I'm going to give Stranger Things episode 3 of season 2 a B. Where do you fall down?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a B too. It was a good solid episode. Unexceptional, but it was still a lot of table setting. So, still necessary stuff, but it was still pretty solid. And
episode 3 of Mindhunter is an A for me.
Yeah. What do we give it? Yeah. I guess. I don't even know I'm fighting it. Yeah, I'm going to say A as well. I mean, as long as Ed Kemper keeps showing up, I'm gonna keep liking the show. It's gonna be fantastic.
We gave episode 2. Both of us gave us an A as well. For episode 2. I don't think I have episodes 1 in front of me, unfortunately. So, all right, man, that Mindhunter is a good show. Right now, it's my favorite of the 2 we're doing.
Yeah, I completely agree. And this is actually the first episode not directed by David Fincher, and no drop off at all. So I was very pleased with that.
I agree. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I can't wait to go and watch episode 4 of Mindhunter and rewatch episode 4 of Stranger Things.
I appreciate that. Doing the Lord's work, my friend.
Shoot
us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. What are your thoughts of Stranger Things and Mindhunter so far? We just discussed episode 3 of both series. We'd love to hear from you. Check us out at thefirstrun.com. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, the Facebooks. And of course, always directly at thefirstrun.com. All right, Matt, let's take another break, and we'll see y'all soon.
See you in a week.
Adios, amoebas.
Now talking is cheap.